Welcome to the Recon Trader. In today's video, I will share with you some tactical analysis over on the Ethereum chart as we take a look at the probabilities of the next move for ETH's price action. So let's get right to the charts. And we will start over here on the 4-hour chart for BTC USDT over on the Binance exchange. And as you can see, ETH has been trading pretty much in a range for almost a month now. ETH is finding a lot of support from around 1050 down to the $1,000 price range, and a lot of resistance up here around the 1280 level to around 1250. And right now ETH is down at the lower part of this range. What's kind of interesting about that, this red candle here is essentially when the CPI numbers just came out for the US, and they were actually a little higher than expected. They came in at 9.1% versus the 8.8% they were expecting. And normally that'd be really bad news, and it was initially. We saw a pretty big sell-off right back down into the support range. There's a wick running all the way down here. However, all the markets seem to be bouncing, and ETH is following suit. It's pushing back up here to where it was at before that number was announced and it sold off. And so now the question really is, will ETH continue this pattern and push right back up to around 1250 or this 1280 level? Or is this just really a dead cat bounce from this bigger sell-off, and ETH is going to roll over and perhaps breach down below the $1,000 mark? Given all the negative data today, including the CPI number, the inflation number essentially, and the fact that mortgage applications have declined according to the reports today, I would not be the least bit surprised if by the end of today or perhaps tomorrow we start to see all the markets tank, and that would include crypto and ETH start to roll back over and perhaps get crushed down. However, right now is we are seeing a bounce from support, and thus the next level of resistance to look at is 1100, a break above 1100, and perhaps we're headed back up here to this level here, which is around that 1170 range, which would have been resistance back here and resistance back in this area as well. But right now ETH is actually struggling to get above 1100, and you can see a lot of resistance back in this area with all these wicks up into the 1190 area. And so until that price action actually closes above the probably 1100 price range for ETH, you would want to proceed with caution if you're bullish on ETH's price action. Now, with that all in mind, if we jump over here to the daily candle chart for Ethereum, you can see a triangle pattern that I was actually watching, and it was basically an ascending triangle where we had resistance up here around the 1280 level, as I mentioned on the previous chart, and our lower trend line was slightly trending upwards. However, yesterday's candle for ETH did close below this lower trend line, and right now ETH's price today is coming up and testing that trend line. And if this price does reject at this trend line and begins to sell off, then we could see a target for ETH on the low side by measuring out this triangle and then taking that measurement and dropping it over here where the breach occurred. And that would put us all the way down here around 6, maybe 70. However, I would expect some support in the 881 area where this wick comes down to, or maybe $800. But really a breach down below this 880, and I would expect more pain and more of a sell-off down towards perhaps to the Fibonacci 1618 level. That puts ETH's price down around 540. Which could signify the bottom for ETH at this 1618 level, somewhere around the mid $500 range. With that price target in mind, if we look back at the beginning of the bull run, you can see that ETH did take off from pretty much around that area, found some support as it moved sideways before taking its first leg up. So that 550 to 540 area could be a strong level of support if ETH were to sell off down that low. But currently, ETH is holding this yellow line of support all the way back into where you see I've drawn a circle. This area has proven to be support before, and that's around that $1,000 to 1040 area. And so as long as ETH can keep these weekly candles closing above that 1040 to $1,000 range, there is the possibility that ETH is putting in its bottom before it starts to push back up. However, if you look up here at the wicks of all these candles here for the last 3 weeks, that 1280 level has rejected any hopes of the bulls going any higher than 1280. So that is going to be a very strong level of resistance. And again, if we look back here, it was a prior level of support. And a lot of times those prior levels of support turn into resistance. And that is exactly what we're seeing on the previous 3 weekly candles. So the key levels I'm really watching right now for Ethereum on the downside would be around that $1040 to $1,000 price range. After that, then we're looking at the 881, which is where this candle wicked down to. And if you extend that line out on the Fibonacci's, that actually comes in at the bottom of these 2 candles where they wick down and find support. So previous support has acted as support most recently on this candle here about 5 weeks ago. Now, after that 880 level, if that does not hold, then it's pretty much open air down to 550. Now, on the flip side, if somehow the bulls can get some momentum, first of all, they need to get above 1280. After 1280, then we're more than likely looking up at around 1450. That would be your 786 on the Fibonacci's. And then there is going to be a ton of resistance at the 1700 level. It acted as previous support recently back here, and then all the way back in here, you can see multiple wicks down to the 1700 level. Also, even back in here, it was acting as support. And so that strong of support could turn into equally strong level of resistance for ETH on the way back up. In reality, anyone looking at this chart can see extremely bearish price action, and this current price action moving sideways could just be consolidation before the next dump down. So I think that's enough jaw-jacking for this video. If there are any major changes over here on the Ethereum chart, I will do an update video. So now would be a good time to shoot that subscribe button so you don't miss future videos. If you like this video, do me a favor, spike a like. If you have questions or comments, drop them in the comment section down below. And until next time, remember, never send your money into battle without first doing your recon. See you in the next video.